We often come across the term the chosen ones, which seems to refer to people with a special fate or a mystical purpose. In Matthew 22, verse 14, it says, "Many are called, but few are chosen." What does this really mean? What if being chosen isn't something we inherit at birth, but rather something we develop through challenging experiences that many people overlook? This idea isn't just a tale for the ages. It's about a spiritual calling. The Bible tells us about figures like Moses, David, and Paul, who weren't selected because they were exceptional from the beginning. Instead, they were chosen because they were willing to face hardships that most would find difficult to endure. They didn't just accidentally achieve greatness. They were shaped and strengthened by struggles that tested their faith, determination, and resilience. These challenges are often hidden. They put pressure on the spirit, mind, and soul, requiring endurance from those few who can confront and conquer them. Those who come through these tests are transformed. They have given up their own ambitions to embrace their faith and step into their higher purpose. So, consider these challenges as signs that you might be among God's chosen ones. Before we dive deeper, please give this video a thumbs up so we can continue to share these messages. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here. Let's explore the first test, the test of identity. The journey of the chosen begins with a challenging question. Who am I, really? In a society where identity is often linked to our jobs, relationships, and how others see us, this question pushes us to look deeper. Many people define themselves through their careers, possessions, or past experiences, hiding their true selves behind these labels and accomplishments. The first challenge for the chosen ones is to remove all these layers and confront their true identity. Like Moses, who left behind the comforts of Egypt to face himself alone in the wilderness, we are called to see beyond our roles and titles. Who are we when no one is watching? When our identity isn't tied to what we've done or how society views us, this test acts as a mirror, reflecting our most authentic self. It encourages us to let go of our egos and reconsider what we've built our self-esteem upon. Many people shy away from this test, sticking to the comfort of their carefully constructed illusions and avoiding the unknown territory of self-examination. Yet historical figures who have faced similar challenges often inspire us with their journeys. For instance, consider the life of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years imprisoned for his beliefs. During that time, he grappled with who he was outside of the labels of prisoner and activist. It was through this profound questioning that he emerged not just as a leader, but as a beacon of hope for millions. His enduring commitment to reconciliation rather than vengeance showed that finding one's true identity can lead to transformative and collective healing. This test of identity reflects not just personal growth, but also social responsibility. When we understand who we genuinely are, we can better fulfill our purpose in the world. The chosen ones often emerge from this trial with greater empathy, compassion, and clarity about their mission. This heightened awareness drives them to contribute positively to their communities and catalyze change. As we reflect on our identities, it's essential to recognize that the journey is ongoing. Each challenge we face offers an opportunity for further introspection and growth. By embracing these challenges, we honor the struggles of those who have gone before us, allowing their stories to inspire our walk of faith. Ultimately, the journey to self-discovery is not just about understanding ourselves. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness with the world around us. It's an invitation to contribute our unique gifts for a greater purpose, resonating with the collective heartbeat of humanity. Through this, we can discover that being among the chosen ones is less about privilege and more about perseverance, humility, and service. They retreat into the safety of their roles and the identities they cling to. However, for those who are chosen, this question continues to resonate, pressing on their hearts until they are ready to confront it. The passage calls us to look within ourselves. "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts." This invitation encourages those who are chosen to let God's light shine on their deepest thoughts, confronting the areas they've been avoiding and seeing themselves from God's perspective. Those who accept this challenge gain a deeper understanding of themselves, allowing God to remove the facades they wear and reveal a person created for a meaningful purpose. Someone God can truly work with, beyond their accomplishments or material possessions. The chosen recognize they are not defined by society's standards, but by what God has placed in their hearts. This journey of discovering one's identity is not easy. It can feel like a refining fire. It poses the question, will you release your self-created image and allow God to define who you are? Those who go through this process emerge with a strength and clarity that only God can provide. When we surrender to this refining, we discard false identities and present ourselves as we genuinely are, vessels prepared for divine purposes. The second challenge for the chosen is the test of isolation. In a world filled with distractions, endless tasks, and the pull of social media, stepping back to face solitude can be daunting. However, there comes a time when those who are called must distance themselves from the noise and discover their true selves in silence. Before Jesus began his ministry, he spent 40 days alone in the wilderness, far from everything familiar. This solitude wasn't a punishment, it served as preparation. Isolation has the power to eliminate distractions, allowing us to hear our inner truths and the path we are meant to take. In solitude, we encounter our deepest fears, insecurities, and unresolved feelings, facing parts of ourselves we often ignore. The quiet forces us to address issues we would prefer to avoid, and it is usually in these moments that God meets us in unprecedented ways, as he did with Elijah on Mount Horeb. Elijah was alone, weary, and frightened, yet he encountered God in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. It is during these still moments that God's voice becomes clear, offering guidance, comfort, and refinement. The tension between solitude and connection is not only a personal struggle, but also a universal one shared by many who walk this path. Throughout history, countless figures of faith, from monks to prophets, have sought the solace of solitude to deepen their understanding of God and their own identities. Their journeys remind us that wilderness experiences can transform the heart. For instance, consider the story of Moses, who found himself tending sheep in Midian for 40 years before he was called to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. This period of isolation was crucial for him to let go of his former life and prepare for the monumental task that lay ahead, which was to be executed not by his own strength but by God's command. Moreover, these moments alone are often filled with opportunity for creativity and reflection. Without the constant hum of outside influences, individuals can tap into their thoughts, ideas, and inspirations that God may bestow upon them. Artists and thinkers have often credited their most profound works to time spent in solitude, where they could ponder deeply without interruptions. Solitude creates space for revelation, where the boundaries of service and personal purpose can be rewritten and realigned with God's calling. Ultimately, the challenge of isolation beckons us to embrace rather than evade it. It invites us into a deeper relationship with God, a relationship characterized by transparency and trust. Those who choose to hear God's call may find that what begins in solitude can blossom into connections with others who are on a similar journey of faith, eventually cultivating a community rooted in shared experiences and mutual support. When those who are chosen allow time and isolation to refine their purpose and identity, they emerge equipped not just for their own paths, but to illuminate the way for others as well. In this way, solitude nurtures strength, not solely for ourselves, but for the collective body of believers, inspiring us all to walk faithfully in the light of our true identities. Many shy away from solitude, fearing what they might discover about themselves. They cling to the comfort of constant activity and the validation of others' opinions. However, the chosen understand the strength that comes from embracing silence. They realize that genuine growth often occurs in these quiet moments. Taking time away from the pressures of the world and the everyday demands of life is essential. During these moments, individuals can tune into God's voice, learning to listen for his guidance, even when it pushes them outside their comfort zones. Being alone isn't always easy. It can be uncomfortable or even painful. However, for those chosen by God, this solitude is a vital part of their journey. In these quiet times, they discover truths that they couldn't hear before. They learn to fully rely on God, deepening their faith in ways that only solitude can teach. Those chosen by God come to understand that purpose often involves times of separation. There will be moments when they need to step back from life to grow closer to God and to hear the calling He has placed in their hearts. This often requires looking inward, reflecting on one's actions, beliefs, and the direction their life is headed. Many saints throughout history have embraced this practice of solitude. For instance, Saint Francis of Assisi withdrew into the wilderness for periods of deep reflection, seeking a connection with God beyond the noise of society. It was in these quiet places that he experienced profound revelations that shaped his life's mission and ministry to the poor. The third challenge is the test of letting go, which can be particularly tough. In life, people often cling tightly to their expectations, grudges, dreams, and even their loved ones. However, those who are truly called must learn to release these attachments, trusting that God's plan is greater than their own. Abraham faced this when God asked him to sacrifice Isaac, his cherished son. This wasn't a test of cruelty, but rather one of trust, illustrating that sometimes what God asks of us doesn't match our own plans. It requires a faith that says, "Lord, I trust you, even when it doesn't make sense." Letting go doesn't mean abandoning what we love or desire. It's about loosening our grip on our plans and submitting to God's wider purpose. This isn't a single act. It's an ongoing process of surrender. Just when we think we've released our attachments, life often throws another challenge our way, prompting the question, can you let go of this too? This serves as a reminder that true faith is revealed not by what we hold on to, but by what we are willing to release for God's sake. This release can also manifest in our relationships. As we learn to support others in their own journey, we create a space where both our own faith and theirs can flourish. Jesus emphasized this principle when he stated that anyone who wants to follow him must deny themselves and take up their cross. Matthew 16:24. He demonstrated perfect surrender through his life and ultimate sacrifice, showcasing the beauty of relinquishing one's desires for a higher calling. The stories of individuals throughout Scripture serve as powerful reminders that great things often come from acts of letting go. The apostles left their nets to follow Jesus, showing us that astonishing journeys often start with simple acts of faith and obedience. They teach us that this journey of letting go is not one we undertake alone. It is walked alongside others who also seek to fulfill God's purpose in both their lives and the world around them. Letting go is not a demonstration of weakness, but rather an act of strength, surrendering control of our lives and entrusting our desires and future to God, trusting that His will is good, even if it doesn't align with our own vision. Those chosen for God's purpose recognize that this test is no easy task. It often requires them to set aside dreams they have nurtured for years, or to let go of people they hold dear. Yet in doing this, they discover a freedom that cannot be found by clinging to what was never destined for them. They learn that God's plans encompass things far beyond their imagination. What they can envision relies on their willingness to trust Him unreservedly. This challenge is one of sacrifice, but it also fosters a faith that remains resilient. Through each act of surrender, they begin to perceive God's faithfulness more clearly, realizing that He occupies every space they intentionally create for Him. The chosen ones are those who move forward, leaving behind their own desires, emboldened by the tranquility of knowing that God's intentions far surpass any plans they try to craft for themselves. Test number 4 is often known as the dark night of the soul. This fourth trial has tested even the most steadfast believers to their breaking points. It's a period filled with profound internal conflict and overwhelming difficulties, where everything seems to fall apart. Relationships deteriorate, careers come to an end, and life feels engulfed in darkness. However, this does not signify punishment from God. Rather, it serves as a refining fire, a purification that removes everything that doesn't align with our true selves. Job exemplified this trial when he lost his family, his wealth, and even his health, grappling with tough questions regarding God's justice and love. During these heavy times, God is not withdrawing His love. Instead, He is stripping away the superficial layers we've put up, allowing our genuine selves to surface. The chosen understand that this darkness is temporary, And even when they cannot perceive God's presence, they hold on to the truth that He is still active, even in silence. As Psalm 23 verse 4 reminds us, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." This serves as a comfort, the steady hand guiding them through this test, removing false comforts and empty securities, leaving behind only what truly matters. Many who have walked through their own dark night of the soul reflect on their experiences and find that their faith has emerged stronger, like gold refined in fire. They often share stories of how the period of darkness brought them to their knees, urging them to seek God with a fervor they had not experienced before. In these times, prayer takes on a new dimension, becoming an intimate dialogue rather than a list of requests. The weight of despair transforms into a reliance on divine presence, producing a deeper understanding of grace and mercy. Additionally, those who persevere through this tumultuous season often report a newfound clarity in their purpose. As the clutter of extraneous aspirations falls away, they find themselves drawn toward their true calling, one that resonates with their deepest values and strengths. The dark night becomes a crossroads, a transformative experience that empowers them to pursue paths they never imagined. Support can often come from unexpected sources during this trial. Fellow believers who have previously endured similar struggles can provide essential encouragement, sharing their testimonies of triumph and hope. They embody the truth that no one has to walk alone in the shadows, and community becomes a lifeline. In such unity, the love of God is manifest, revealing that even in solitude, one can find profound connection through shared experience. Ultimately, these challenges highlight the beauty of resilience. Each trial becomes a thread in the tapestry of life, intricately woven together to create a picture of faith and unwavering trust in God. The dark night of the soul, while daunting, is also an opportunity for rebirth and renewal, paving the way for a richer, more authentic relationship with the Creator. Embracing this journey fosters strength and enriches not only personal faith, but also the faith of those who walk alongside us. The chosen must remain steadfast in their faith, even amid more questions than answers. They endure a silence that feels oppressive, where God's voice seems far away, yet they persist because they understand there is purpose in this season. It is in such moments that they recognize the strength God has placed within them, a light that shines through even the most profound struggles. For those who endure, the dark night transitions into a pathway to a clearer understanding of God and a more profound sense of purpose. They emerge not merely with answers, but with a heart that trusts beyond what is visible or tangible. This is where the chosen are transformed, not by comfort, but by a faith that remains steadfast amid trials. This journey is about making space for God's light to fill their lives in ways they never imagined before. Those who are chosen will emerge from this struggle recognizing that the darkness had its own purpose. In those quiet moments, God was refining their spirits, preparing them to be ready for His calling. The fifth test, known as the test of faith during the dark night of the soul, challenges us to live by faith, not just by what we see. This test encourages us to place unwavering trust not only in God, but also in the purpose He has for us, a purpose that may still feel unclear. It's about having faith that remains strong, even when life seems burdened with challenges. Hebrews 11 verse 1 defines faith as the assurance of things hoped for and the proof of things not seen. During tough times, we are invited to rely on what isn't visible and believe that our suffering holds significance. Faith in difficult times is the essence of the chosen. It's easy to have faith when everything makes sense, but true faith is tested in uncertainty. Like Peter, who stepped out of the boat to walk on water, we are called to move forward without any guarantees against failure. Peter understood the risks, but he also believed that the one calling him was more powerful than the waves around him. This test isn't about having certainty, it's about trust. Trust in the one who directs our path even when we cannot see the entire journey. The chosen recognize that faith isn't based on comfort or clarity. It's rooted in a steadfast hope that God is actively working, even when His plans are hidden from our eyes. This time of darkness might not make sense to the world, but for the chosen, it's a chance to deepen their connection with God. Many have experienced profound revelations during their periods of silence. They may find themselves reflecting on their past experiences, realizing how God orchestrated events that seemed unrelated, only to reveal a larger picture of grace and guidance. Consider the story of Job, who faced unbearable loss while grappling with the absence of direct answers. Through his steadfastness, he not only reaffirmed his faith, but also discovered a deeper relationship with God. In the depths of his suffering, Job learned the value of perseverance and trust, ultimately leading to restoration that surpassed his former blessings. Similarly, those who go through their own dark nights are often drawn closer to community, creating bonds with others who share their struggles. They may find comfort in stories of others who have faced similar trials, realizing they are not alone in their questioning. Small groups, prayer circles, or even simple conversations can become catalysts for healing, as each person brings their unique experiences to the table, fostering mutual support and understanding. Moreover, it is through this transformative journey that many uncover their spiritual gifts. The very struggles that seem to draw them away from God can also illuminate their purpose within His greater plan. They discover that in their moments of doubt, they are equipped to encourage others, to share their testimonies of resilience, and to remind fellow travelers on this path that faith, even in darkness, can yield magnificent fruit. Emerging from the dark night, the chosen carry with them more than just the lessons learned. They bring a renewed sense of empathy and compassion for those still wrestling in their own trials. Their faith becomes a beacon of hope, guiding others to trust in the unseen and to find solace in the promise that light will eventually break through the darkness. It's a moment to let go of the need for control, knowing that although they might not have all the answers, they know the one who does. They choose to believe that God's timing and methods far exceed human understanding, and they keep pushing forward. In this test, the chosen find their hearts refined, drawing strength from a hope that isn't dependent on their circumstances. They hold on, not because they understand everything, but because they trust in the promises of the one who is leading them. Their faith deepens, becoming a light that shines even in dark times. This is where they find peace that doesn't depend on their surroundings and strength that comes from complete surrender. Amid this trial, the chosen move forward, not because they grasp the path fully, but because they believe in the one who is guiding it. They move ahead, grounded by a hope that remains steadfast amid uncertainty. They trust in God's faithfulness as their foundation, even when the path ahead isn't clear. The sixth test is the test of surrender. Reaching this point signifies that we have demonstrated resilience, strength, and endurance. However, now we are called to completely surrender our personal plans and allow God to take charge. Jesus exemplified this in the Garden of Gethsemane when he prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. Surrender isn't about giving up, it's about aligning our desires with God's purpose. This test teaches us humility and obedience, urging us to let go of our need to control outcomes and trust in God's timing and wisdom. True strength for the chosen lies not in forcing situations to unfold as they wish, but in their willingness to submit to God's higher plan. Surrender becomes a significant act of faith, acknowledging that God knows what is best for us, even when the way forward seems unclear. In this surrender, we discover peace, a quiet assurance that we are safe in God's hands. The chosen realize that surrender is not a defeat, but rather a means of allowing God to guide them, finding rest in His perfect wisdom. The seventh test is the test of awakening. This is the moment of clarity when we genuinely comprehend our purpose and identify who we are in God's eyes. It represents the culmination of all the trials and struggles we've faced, leading to a vision that transforms everything. The chosen awaken to their identity in Christ, realizing that they are not just loved, but set apart for a divine mission. They begin to see their unique gifts and talents as tools that God has equipped them with to fulfill that mission. Awakening brings forth a vibrancy in their lives, inspiring them to serve others with the same love they have received. They realize that their journey, with all its tests, has not only been for their growth, but also for the purpose of reaching out to those around them. As they share their stories of perseverance and faith, they become beacons of hope, illuminating the way for others who may be lost in their own struggles. They start to see how each trial served a purpose, not just for their awakening, but also for the awakening of others. In this newfound understanding, the chosen embrace their responsibility to contribute positively to the world. They are motivated to act with compassion, equipped with the wisdom gained through their experiences. This awakening inspires a ripple effect, encouraging those around them to seek their own paths of purpose and identity. They choose to live out their faith actively, knowing that their actions can impact lives beyond their immediate circle. Through the grace of God, the chosen are empowered to fulfill their calling, bringing others along in the journey of faith, ultimately creating a community forged in love, resilience, and radical trust in God's sovereignty. They begin to see their lives not as random events, but as a carefully guided journey, bringing them closer to God and helping them understand themselves better. In this awakening, we come to see that every challenge and moment of pain holds a greater significance. These trials were steps that introduced us to freedom, joy, and a purpose beyond ourselves. We arrive at a stage where fear and ego no longer control us. This awakening empowers the chosen to live boldly and love wholly, embracing God's plan without being held back by doubt or insecurity. This clarity brings a peace that remains unshakable, along with a strength that comes from knowing who we are and to whom we belong. We reflect on past struggles as tools God used to shape us, and we are now ready to walk confidently in the purpose He has laid out for us. As we traverse this path, we begin to notice the small miracles in our daily lives, a stranger's smile, a moment of kindness, or the gentle whisper of nature reminding us of our connection to all creation. Each of these moments serves as a reminder of God's presence, reassuring us that we are never alone in our journeys. The beauty lies in recognizing that even in our darkest hours, light can break through, illuminating the way forward. Are you among the selected ones ready to confront the challenges of identity, solitude, release, darkness, faith, surrender, and awakening? This journey is not simple, and these challenges demand courage. However, if you persevere, you will come out transformed, discovering a life that is abundant, liberated, and aligned with a higher purpose. Along the way, we may encounter others who are also navigating their awakening. Their stories of struggle and triumph serve to inspire us and deepen our own understanding. When we share our experiences, we build a community of seekers who encourage one another, shining light on the diversity of paths that lead us closer to our Creator. This is the journey of those chosen. It's not about being flawless or extraordinary. It's about embracing growth, placing your trust, and letting go. We learn that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a powerful strength that connects us to one another. In opening our hearts, we foster relationships that reflect the love of God, allowing us to uplift and support each other. Let's walk this path together, for the rewards that await us are beyond our wildest dreams. Amen.